At this time, I will now hand the presentation over to Mr. DeJarvis Leonard. Mr. Leonard?
Good morning. Thank you again for attending our briefing for the April media briefing for 5920. We will run through some video, some slides to show you what's going on the project. We'll give a quick history and show some updates, and that will be it for today. And if you have any questions, we'll be glad to answer them. As always, we do a quick overview of the project, and this shows our phasing. Phases of A, 1, 2, and 3. Phase A, as you know, was the wide lengthening of those bridges at 5920 at 12th and 31st. And then we had phase 1 was the widening of the bridges at 2nd, 3rd, 4th Avenue on I-65. Phase 2 was the reconstruction of the interchange at 5920 and I-65, and phase 3 is what we're currently working on, which is the modification of the interchange at Red Mountain Expressway, 31st Street, and the replacement of the bridges downtown. We've completed all those except for phase 3. This is a view of phase 3 at the 31st Street and 12th Avenue. This is a view of 2nd, 3rd, and 4th Avenue widening of the bridges on 65. This is an overview of the rendering that we created prior to the construction at the interchange at I-65 and 5920. And this is an actual view of what the project looked like. When you go back and look at the rendering versus the actual, our engineers did an excellent job in putting together our rendering, which helped us to understand and help the contractor and their workers to understand how the project was going to come together. This is a rendering of the 5920 interchange at Red Mountain Expressway. You're looking south at Red Mountain Expressway. You see the new access into 59, off of 5920 and on the 5920 here at 25th Street. Those are now functioning in its full capacity. And this is a rendering looking east toward the airport. And you can see the bridges that we talked about earlier at 12th and 31st Street. This is the 25th Street ramps, and you can see what the new interchange is going to look like once we're complete. This is a time-lapse video of some of the work that's taken place. You can see how the work has progressed over the past year or so. You can see the new ramps as they were constructed, the off and on ramps to 25th Street. You can see the ramps coming from 31st Street that is taking shape during this period of time. You also can see the new ramp that will be coming from Red Mountain Expressway as it starts to take shape after the demolition of this bridge. This is the one we blasted back in February, but you can see the new ramp coming from 31st Street, and as they continue to work, you can see them taking shape of the columns for the new ramp that will tie here coming from Red Mountain Expressway. Okay, this is the new ramp that will eventually tie to 5920. The old ramp is gone from Red Mountain Expressway, and the new ramp is taking shape. This is where we are as of today, and we'll keep you updated as the progress continues. This is a time lapse of some of the demolition that took place over the last 2 months. We sort of expedited, and you can also see the columns that were being installed and the first segments that were placed in the first span of those. This is looking in an opposite direction. You're looking east. And you can see the demo taking place, along with the new columns going in place, all the way through up until the last week or so on the progress. Countdown is still on. We've been working thus far 2 months, 28 days. We got 9 11 months and 6 days to the actual 14 months completion. And the contractor to get his actual incentive completion, it will be January of 2020 if he wants to make that time frame. There are places segments, and we've talked about this viewing before the slide. They actually will put shore and towers in along underneath the bridge, and each span place a pier segment here, and then they'll start placing actual what we call typical sections until they get to the end. In the middle, they'll have a special segment that will have the post-tensioning of the each span, and I'll show you how that post-tensioning goes through the segments. This is the first segment that we place. If you look at this segment, there are holes in the segment. This is what we call a pier segment, and this segment will have those tendons that will go through those holes and help post-tension each segment so that it will be able to carry the load during that period of time. The typical bridge has 2 segments with a closure pool. And you can see that blown up here in this screen zoomed out. But each segment is placed for the eastbound, 2 for the westbound, with a closure pool in between the 2. If you have a ramp, then you'll actually have 3 segments with 2 closure pools. And then each one of these segments will be post-tension, and then the closure pools will be put in place also. This is a view of the first spans that have been set. This is near the Botwell parking deck here. This span is completed and has been tensioned. This one has also, and so this is showing you're looking west toward Tuscaloosa, so this is the eastbound roadway, and so those 2 spans are in place, and this area that's open is where the closure pour will be poured to make the complete width of the eastbound bridge. This is another view of some of the segments that are going in. If you're looking eastbound, that's the same shot we showed earlier. They're working in that direction to put in more columns so they continue to install segments. This is what the bridge is going to look like when we finish. The contractor is progressing with their work, and we're looking forward to being able to move forward with the completion of the bridge. Work zone safety is important to us. We encourage you to encourage motorists to drive slow, pay attention, be patient, and to plan ahead. And with that, that ends our presentation at this time.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Leonard. At this time, we're going to begin taking questions. Again, if you have questions, please type them in the questions box on the lower right-hand side of the screen. And while you are entering your questions, let me remind you to follow the 5920 Bridge Project on our various social media outlets, which you can see here on this slide. So the website, the Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram handles are all listed here. Okay, I don't see any questions. So at this time, Mr. Leonard, is there anything else you want to add before we conclude the call?
I just want to thank everyone for being patient with us as we continue to improve the roadway system through the city of Birmingham. And we ask motorists to continue to be mindful of the workers who are out there. And please don't be impaired when you drive.
Okay, we do have one question that's come in. The question is Phase 3 on schedule / going as planned?
Overall, it's going as planned. We we're able to continue the demolition even though we lost a lot of time during the rain. The contractor is going through and expediting or tweaking his process so he can move forward with the bridge.
Okay. As a reminder, we will post a recording of this presentation on the 5920 website at 5920bridge.com. The website contains all the most current information on the project, and we encourage you to utilize this as a source for closure announcements, the media gallery for photos, and current content on the project. If you have any questions following today's meeting, please contact Linda Crockett. If there's nothing else at this time, this will conclude today's meeting. Thank you again to everyone for joining today's briefing.